So in the last video, we looked at the importance of how things have changed in the last year or two regarding Google My Business and the search engine. So this is part 2 of the Google My Business local SEO guide. In the previous part, we had seen the importance of how people are changing their habits when they search. They're looking locally, and so they're looking and using either the town name or they're using things like near me or nearby. So when it comes to building your website online and your digital marketing efforts, you need to bear in mind what people are using in their search terms and how things have changed even in the last year or two. On top of that, also they're using their mobile more than ever. Your customers are using their mobile to try and find your business. So if you're not mobile friendly, if you don't know what you look like on a mobile, if your website doesn't work on a mobile, then it's going to struggle to get found in Google Maps, in Google My Business, and obviously on the Google search engine index. So this video is going to continue now those thoughts we've looked at, give you more things you can do today that's going to really give you the right frame of mind, understand the principles of what Google's looking for, and make sure that you can really get to your clients' needs so that they come to you rather than your competitor in the next few weeks and months ahead. If of course you haven't seen part 1, then I'll put a link right down below and you can go to part 1 first, and you'll find it will then flow better if you haven't seen that video. But let's now jump straight to where we were for part 2. So reviews and ratings are something you can do something about. Adding great images that are representative of your company, true images, ones that you've taken in your camera, that also will help build authority. And if you're not sure of why that's the case, just go to your insights on Google My Business, and there you'll see that Google looks at the traffic that your photos are receiving and it compares it to your competitors' traffic too. Now, why does Google do that? Because Google knows that it thinks that photos are one of the most important ways of attracting traffic and genuine customers. So just bear that in mind, that Google doesn't hide the importance of certain things. So consistency is really important. Building trust is really important. Think of your social media. If you've got a Twitter account, a Facebook account, a LinkedIn account, any of these accounts really should again reflect the same things you have in your Google My Business, because Google knows the addresses, the phone numbers that you use for your business on all the other social media areas. It knows about citations. It knows about your Yelp references and your yellow pages. It knows about your checker trade. It knows about your Facebook business page. And it checks to just see if all these things are consistent. You start to build trust and authority in Google. And another thing that keeps coming to the fore is the importance of categories, but particularly your primary category. So what's your primary category? Well, it should be the thing that your business does best. So you might have 2 or 3 categories that work well for your business. Having loads of categories that reflect things you don't do that well probably isn't going to help your situation. Years ago, people used to flood Google My Business with various categories, maybe just picking 1 or 2 good primary or a primary category and a secondary category is probably the better way to go. If I say I do say wedding flowers because I'm a flower shop and that comes up as one of my categories, and then when someone picks up the phone I say I don't do wedding flowers, I just do normal flowers, normal bunch of flowers, well, that wouldn't go down well with the customer. So Google wants the categories to be a true representation of the very things your business does. Other things you can do is to update regularly your Google My Business. That again will help to build up that authority. That 25% within the local SEO algorithm is going to be heavily dominated by your photos and by regularly uploading your posts. If you don't upload a post or an update within 7 days, it disappears, but offers help. There are other things like products can help as well. Having frequently asked questions or questions and answers can help. Upvoting the ones that are important to your customers by clicking on the thumb. That again helps with those questions and answers. All these things have been covered in other videos that I've done. So if you have any questions on these things, just type into Google or into YouTube the name Zanet, Z-A-N-E-T, and then what it is you're looking for. So if it's Google products, or if you want to understand about questions and answers, or about images or photos or ratings or reviews, then that's the way you'll find videos that will help you in those areas. And another thing that really seems to help Google with the algorithm is having people finding you on Google Maps through the directions section. So I've often spoken about your contact page could have a direction button and use Google Maps for that. I've talked about how to embed Google Maps into your contact page or certainly onto your website, and that will help too. Now, one of the things that will give you some clues as to what will be useful on your website is to go to the free website that Google My Business produces. Now, that isn't naturally on. You have to turn that on or switch it on. You'll see that along the left-hand menu, when you've logged in, it says website. If you click on website, you'll get a very basic one-page website that Google My Business produces based on the information that you've already entered in. And that's one of the other things as well, is to bear in mind that the more information you add in, the more complete your Google My Business listing is, the more information and real estate shows on the knowledge panel, which is on the side of the search engine results, but also the larger and more information you'll get on your free website. Now, your free website needs to be enabled. Once it's gone live, then you'll find quite a lot of information on that website. It'll enable you to have a WhatsApp connection or a call button on there so that people can actually then call you directly from this free website. This free website will have your gallery, so have your latest photos on, it'll have your news items on, your offers on, it'll have your name, address, your phone number, it'll have your email, it'll have a map for directions to your business. Now, Google's produced in effect a very simple but a very useful website, and those websites do also get indexed on Google. So you might think, well, if I've got a professional website, why would I want to enable a free website too? Does it clash? No, it doesn't. It just gives you even more authority. It's another area in the search engine that can be found. And in fact, I'm going to produce a video in the future that will show you how powerful this free website is. So look out for that in the future. But notice on Google My Business website, it has a map area for directions. It has your hours. It has your address. It has a contact details or contact number. And it also has a description. It also covers things like photos. What is that telling us as a business owner? It's telling us that those things are important to Google. And if they're important to Google, then they should also be reflected on all the things you do, particularly with your professional website. And that's another thing then to take from this discussion today. One other thing to be aware of when it comes to getting this crash course, to get up to speed with Google My Business, is that you don't have to have a shop front to be on Google My Business. Now, there's been a lot of confusion in the past about whether or not you need to be a service or a shop. And Google was confused themselves because the way they initially did it a couple of years ago was made it very confusing. Some people didn't want their address because they didn't want people just turning up at their home if they got a home office. Many businesses today are working from home, so the last thing they want is people just knocking on their door, turning up when they're in their home. So how does this work? Well, if you register now with Google, it's much clearer. The idea is Google needs to have your address to confirm that you exist. So there's no way of getting away from the fact that you need to actually have a place on the map that Google is aware of. But whether or not you show that address on Google Maps, or whether you just show a service area, an area that you cover, well, that's now down to you. So if you've decided that you don't want to be found on Google Maps as a pinpoint or as a shop front, then you can change that. And that's just a case of going into your address on Google My Business and just showing that I don't want this, I'm a service area, these are the areas I cover, but I don't want my address being shown. And that can be done within a few seconds these days. So they've made it, they've addressed the area, the problem that people were having, and really just ask yourself, do I want customers? Do customers come to me or do I go to them? Do I want to be found on Google Maps or do I just want to be found in the area of Google Maps? And there's much debate on which one works better. What will work best is how you work with customers. Now, at this stage, you may have loads of questions about some of the things I've covered. And that's understandable because all these things, I mean, I'm giving you a big crash course all in a few minutes to try and get you up to speed, but you'll have loads of questions, no doubt. So if you've got some questions, I do try and answer every single question I'm given. So if you put your questions down below in the comments, if you give this video a thumbs up, if you subscribe, I'll do my best to play my part. That helps with my algorithm on this YouTube video by you doing your part, and I'll do my part by trying to share more details about how I can help you. As we mentioned before, your customers use their phone. They use their phone to search for businesses near them. And that's the mindset we're trying to get today. And one of the ways in which you can get that mindset is to download the Google My Business app. And the Google My Business app will give you plenty of ways in which you can also update your business when you're on the fly. So let's just imagine you're a plumber and you do a job, and as you're leaving the customer, you just say to the customer, is it okay if I take a few photos of the job? So you go into your Google My Business app, you take a couple of photos, and then as you're there with a customer, you say, actually, do you think you could take a few photos too? And could you give me a review as obviously you are happy with the job? And then they can also then just go into your Google My Business. You can show them how to do it if they're not sure. They can then upload some photos too. Now, what's that done? Well, one, it's given a 5-star review to Google from the customer. Secondly, it's uploaded some photos from the customer's perspective, which is probably one of the biggest things that ranks well with Google at this time, is customers taking photos of your business. And then also you've got some photos as well that you can upload to Google My Business. Now, in just a couple of minutes, those things will have a big impact on where you're found in the Google Map Pack on Google Maps. And if you did that every single time you had a job, if you did that every single time, you will definitely see a dramatic change in how Google My Business ranks you. And that is how Google is really rewarding small businesses. Why? Because it sees it as part of the EAT. It shows you're an expert because customers are rating you. It shows you have an authority because you're getting it from different customers. And it shows you're trustworthy because the ratings and what they say about you imply that you're trustworthy too. And one of the other biggest advantages about having Google My Business app on your phone is it also means that customers can directly contact you through the Google My Business app. So they might want a quote and it comes through, it alerts you on your phone straight away. And maybe they've got a few questions they need answering. It comes through again on your Google My Business app. In fact, you can enable quite a few things through the app that you can only do through the app. So without the app, there's a chance you're missing out on buttons, on messaging, on answering replies quickly. And guess what? Google knows how quickly you respond. It knows whether you respond, and that gives signals to Google too as to how authoritative, what an expertise, and how trustworthy you are. So those are some things that most people haven't realized has changed in recent months. The authority of having Google My Business app. So hopefully by now you've really got a clear idea as to what Google's looking for. You've also got up to date where we are with regards to local SEO and the importance of it. You can see why Google My Business is really the prime way of getting search engine optimization done for your business. And you can see that actually the competition's not too difficult if you keep regularly updating Google My Business with the very things that Google are rewarding currently. So how do you know what Google is rewarding currently? How do you know what the latest things are? Well, obviously, if you haven't done so already, you're going to subscribe to this channel because I'll keep you updated on that. But also, I've put together a really useful video called Google My Business for Dummies, and I'll meet you there.